Thank you for joining us for Chatting in the Void, a conversational podcast hosted by Hallik and Cthulhu Tilly.
So how was your day, Tilly? Talk to me about your day.
You know what? It's been a pretty good day. I spent most of the day scrolling through TikTok, and I did laundry. That's pretty much. I took a shower too, so at least I did something productive with laundry and a shower. You know. Yesterday, I went rock climbing and I hurt one of my fingers. Rock climbing, I like scraped a crap ton of skin off. On a hold, so it was kind of painful, but and then it was good. It was a good day, you know, just kind of relaxing, and I was in my bed until 2 p.m., which is always solid because I've been getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep since I recovered from COVID. A night. I don't know why COVID just decided to fuck up my sleep schedule entirely. I've never had a good sleep schedule. It's always been garbage, but it's even worse now, so that's fun. Thanks, COVID, for that, but it's not too bad. Yeah. Thanks.
Anyways, so how are you gonna be recording this question?
I have Streamlabs pulled up, and I am just recording I'm recording my end of audio, and then I'm recording my video. Probably what I'll end up doing is, just to make things easier on myself, I'll probably download your Twitch VOD later and figure out how to do that, because I actually know how to just download your Twitch VOD completely if you do VODs. If you don't do VODs, then I'll just use what I have.
No, I do have VODs on, but
great.
If you need me to put the camera on Discord, just let me know and I'll do that.
That might be good just to have a backup, but I don't think it's necessary if you have VODs, because I can just download the VODs and use that audio and match that audio and my audio. And then I'm muxing into different audio streams for my desktop audio that you'll be on and my mic audio that I'll be on. So if your audio is better on your VOD, I'll use that audio for you, but I don't know. It might be complicated then, but we'll figure it out.
We'll see. This is
I'll figure
a pilot
it out
more than anything.
Yeah, it's a pilot. It's a beta product at this point, you know.
Nice.
But yeah.
So Tilly, today we were just playing some Warframe. We're playing some Yu-Gi-Oh. What games have you been into lately?
Okay. I haven't had a whole lot of time. I've been playing a crap ton of Minecraft, to be honest. My friends made a modded Minecraft server on 1.18.1, and so I've been putting probably too many hours than is healthy.
Which one's 1.18? Is that the Caves and Hills?
1.18.1 is the most recent version of Minecraft. It's just the most recent version. We have a bunch of mods on it and stuff like that, so it's really different. But our seed is really cool. We have a bunch of jungles, and I'm currently living my house is built into a cave that you have to enter underwater, and then it stretches back out into a ravine. And then the top of the ravine, I'm going to cover in glass, and it's going to be really legit, and it's going to be cool. But yeah, so I've been playing Minecraft. I haven't been playing much Warframe recently, mostly because I've been way too tired to play Warframe. And Warframe is a game that's it's not conducive to playing if you're tired.
Yeah, you can't just pick up Warframe and be okay, I'm just going to do one thing. Because one thing leads to the other, and then the other leads to the other, and then it's all starts at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, it's you start out I'll just play one, I'll just get on, get my Iatan sculpture and do the sword and then call it a night. And then it's 17 hours later, you're oh shit, I've ground out 4 Warframes and I've done a bunch of other stuff, and it's oh dear, I didn't mean to spend this long on this game. But yeah, so I've been kind of avoided Warframe because I don't have a lot of time to play on games, and I've been wanting to play with some friends. So I've also been playing Overwatch, which feels weird again to like be playing Overwatch again.
Overwatch? Why are you doing that to yourself?
Because I have friends who play Overwatch, and it's fun to play in a 6-man stack.
You need to get
the only reason.
By the sounds of it.
Hey, they're chill people. They don't do drama. We have found a couple of toxic people and just completely roasted them, which is pretty funny. It's always a good time to just completely roast.
Nothing like ganging up on strangers on the internet.
Yeah, ganging up on strangers in a video game who are insulting you. It's always a good time, to be honest. But yeah.
Oh, fun times.
Yeah.
But okay, so do any of your friends like play Overwatch competitively or anything like that?
No, no.
Just casual nonsense.
Yeah, we're just quick play fiends. We just want to have fun. That's all it is.
Wait, so you're telling me you're playing Overwatch to have fun?
Yeah, because I play Hammond. Which, how can you be upset when your main mechanic is rolling at people? Like, that's all you just roll and then you slam and you swing and it's a good time. And then I also play Anna when I'm feeling more snipery, and that's always fun because
when the sweat starts.
Exactly, when the sweat starts.
Pouring.
Yeah. And then
I only played like back when it first came out, like before Hammond, before what's the tank that's like a robot too that puts a shield down? I forget her name.
Orisa.
What?
Orisa. Her name is Orisa.
Yeah. When Orisa came out, that's when I stopped playing.
Fair enough. That was a good time to stop playing. That's kind of when I stopped playing, and now I'm back. And low-key, like, I don't know what Blizzard has been up to other than, being terrible. They have not been balancing Overwatch very well for a very long time. So it's very unbalanced.
And what the problem that I have too with the whole game situation is that, and this is a problem that I always have with like companies that have like this like first person shooter or whatever, is that they force like the esports thing on the game.
Yeah, for sure.
When I remember when Overwatch first came out, everybody was having fun. Everybody was being a goof. Everybody was like fucking pushing people off the edge and just messing around. And then the Overwatch League came out, and then we're all like, what? There's been like a handful of $10,000 tournaments. And then the Overwatch League gets announced, and then like everybody's like, okay, quick, let's form teams, let's do that. Right. Yeah, and apparently from what I've been reading, like news articles and whatnot, it's like Blizzard had to strike these deals with like all these sponsors and all these team houses to have them come and play and like sign up for the tournaments. I forget exactly how it was, but like to get this deal going, you had to like pay $1 million or something like that.
That's fucking insane. What?
To be registered. And I'm like, what are you doing, Blizzard? Like, the game has been out for like less than a year or so, like out since the beta ended, and they're already trying to throw money at this problem that doesn't need a solution.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's interesting. I didn't know that was happening. My main experience with Overwatch League has just been watching people play, watching like with people in like group chats, and that's pretty much it. I found Overwatch League obscenely boring because I think one of the biggest problems that Overwatch League and Overwatch Comp has is they have a very small roster for the heroes, and because there's such a small roster for the heroes, it's like you really end up with like maybe 2 or 3 like weird picks on a team. But it's like when I watched, it was like exclusively you had a Roadhog, a Mercy, a Reaper, and a Soldier 76 on like every team. And the reason why is because like that was really good team to have, and so that became the meta.
DPS.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's step back a little bit from talking balance, because let's be honest, neither of us are an expert when it comes to esports.
True.
Overwatch. Yeah.
True.
So I would really rather talk more about like what we are good at, which is watching games, because every time that I tuned in, even before the Overwatch League, every time I tuned in into an Overwatch match, whether it was like a competitive tournament being hosted here or there, or even just my friend just playing and just showing on Discord what they were doing, I'm like, how the fuck do you even like shoutcast this stuff? Right. Like in League of Legends and Dota 2, like you have 5v5, and every hero is trying to accomplish something, and you can kind of split the attention, except in like the big team fights, right? But see, in those games, you have like a build up, right? You have the start. Everybody is in their own lanes, and they're fighting for their lanes, and eventually that's you build up to a team fight. But Overwatch is like go out of the spawn, bam, team fight.
Exactly.
Explain it. Why?
Yeah. Which I think was an interesting. It's like they merged that like top down, almost like StarCraftian style, because obviously that's where Dota started and stuff like that was in
the RTS
mods for that, top down RTS stuff. And then they kind of merged that, like the hero and the almost RPG mechanics that were like, okay, so you have heroes, you have these set abilities, you have all these different things, you're managing cooldowns and stuff like that. And then they merged all of that in with like a much more like Call of Duty style, CSGO style, like combat type thing. And I thought that was really interesting. Oh, there's the bunny cam. Anyways, I thought that was really interesting. When I first started playing, but then I realized that like it's super hard to balance that way, and it's also really intense. One of the things that I think is good about like Overwatch versus something like League of Legends is you load into an Overwatch game and like your maximum time in a game, unless they're just obscenely good in overtime, is like 15 minutes. Which is great. Like that's the longest you can stay in a game. And usually in Overwatch games are over in like 5 to 10 minutes, which is really nice because it means like you can sit down and actually only play like 2 or 3 games of Overwatch.
Of how much time you're going to invest into what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like you can load into a league game, and if your team or the enemy team just decides to troll and drag out the length of a game, they can drag out games for so long. I mean, like there was like I'm trying to remember. I think it was in Oceanic. I don't remember if you know much about League of Legends or remember anything about this, but like
I played one game of League of Legends in my entire life.
Okay, so in the Oceanic scene, which is a very small server system, so they don't have a lot of players. There were a couple of pro players in the Oceanic scene who would take a couple of specific champions from the League of Legends pool, and they would lock people into these competitive games for like 14 hours, because if you left, you would get banned. And so they would be like in plat tier, so high tier, but they were comp players. So they were like high level comp players, and they would sit there with these infinitely stacking champions to the point where they were like super powerful and could just control every aspect of the game, and there was no way for the enemy to win, and then they would just not push and just leave the enemy and just force them into this game, because if they left the game, they would lose, and if they lost the game, they would lose MMR, and if they left the game, they would get banned. And so it was really toxic, and you can do things like that on a smaller scale in just normal league comp, of where like you can just drag out games.
If I was on the enemy team of that pro player infinitely stacking stats, I would just take the L and be like, you got me. All right, I lose the MMR, sure. Like, that was the thing. Okay.
They couldn't just lose, because the way that they were doing it, they would never the way that they were doing this specific mechanic is they would never take down what's called the inhibitor, so the minions would always be the same level. And so it was like if the enemy pushed, they would just push back a little bit, and just keep the game at a standstill for hours on end. And they could just do that. And they didn't have to worry about it.
But couldn't the enemy, like the enemy team, just stop pushing themselves and then have the enemy minions destroy their inhibitor?
No, because then the minions just stay at a standstill in the center. They'll kill each other and then stop, and then kill each other.
There's no push?
Yeah, there's no auto push. Like, you have to manually push in League of Legends.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and so they could just keep that, and the enemy team chose not to surrender, which they could have surrendered, but they intentionally chose not to. So it is their fault, but it was super toxic behavior because it was like forcing somebody into surrender or bans, and then sometimes they would have like I think the biggest problem is sometimes they would have like two people, like, because it's such a small server that they would queue and requeue until they had friends on the enemy team who would buy into it and stop them from surrendering. And so that's when they had like these games that were lasting like 14 hours, is because there were trolls on both sides of the map who were just holding people hostage in these games, because if the people left, they would get banned. And so it was super toxic behavior. So League of Legends has always been kind of a little toxic, just in the innate nature of the game. And that was kind of one of the biggest problems with it. And I played a lot of League of Legends. It's probably my second most played game behind Warframe. I probably have almost 2,000 hours in League of Legends. So, yeah.
So let's go back to the whole Overwatch as a spectator thing. So I like that you mentioned StarCraft, because StarCraft is very big into like the subject that I kind of wanted to touch upon. And that's kind of like, okay, we talked first about how, Overwatch, especially with Overwatch League, Blizzard kind of like was pushing the whole envelope with the whole competitive thing. And here's the thing. Overwatch is such a fun game. It's so cool. The characters are fun. The art style is amazing. The character interactions are great. Everyone's having fun until there's a rank system, until there's something to compete over. Then the game becomes so unfun. And,
for sure.
And I guess there's always been predecessors to it, like, Counter-Strike. There's always been competitive games in stuff. But like, I really think that a game like Overwatch suffered extremely from it being pushed as a spectator sport, when even within its nature, it is deceptively not an esport game. It's not a very good esports game. Sure, there's going to be a pro that's going to come in and tell me, oh, actually, you're wrong because this and that is very intricate, it's very complicated. Sure, a game can be complicated and have a lot of interactions and be very competitive. But at the end of the day, what makes a sport successful in terms of like, viewership and just making a career out of it is simple. Are the people watching the sport having fun watching said sport? And with Overwatch, the answer is just no. Because the amount of like knowledge that you have to have of the game to watch it is ridiculous. And this is where StarCraft comes into play. Like, you might think, oh, StarCraft is also kind of like that because you have to know this, you have to know matchup, you have to know unit composition. Not really. Because StarCraft is simple. In a competitive scenario, it's just 1v1, so there's only two players. The color scheme is separated, their visual identity is separated, and you can tell, oh, this guy has 3 big buildings, and the other guy only has 2 big buildings. So this guy's ahead. So I can tell just as somebody who doesn't know how to play StarCraft, I can kind of get into it, And then the announcer's hyping up. It's like, oh, this guy's building up this crazy push. He's going to push in the 15-minute mark, and then this is going to happen. There's a lead up to it, which as a viewer, you can kind of carry yourself in, and you can, because of the visual simplicity of the game itself, you can kind of follow along despite not knowing all the little intricacies of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
It saddens me so much that StarCraft as an esport has kind of like lost as much popularity as it has, because from day one up until today, it has been such a great like viewing esport. Like, as a viewer, like sometimes I would get like a tournament finals on my YouTube recommended for StarCraft and be like, oh shit, this pro's still playing. I'm gonna check this out, and then I can follow along just fine. You know, but if I want to do that with Overwatch, I fucking go into like the Overwatch finals of whatever last tournament happened, and I'm like, why is there like 20 new heroes? That's one. Okay, the push happens, and then there's like all this mess happening that's innate to the game. There's like it's not a 1v1 like in StarCraft. It's like a 6v6, right?
Yeah,
it's a 6v6, and every hero has his own abilities and his own ultimates and his own nonsense to try to pull off. I'm like, I don't understand how a professional like announcer looks at a game like Overwatch and goes, "Yeah, I want to do that." You need to go get yourself out, really. Yeah,
it's interesting because like, and the funny thing is I played a lot of League of Legends and I've played some Overwatch. I probably only have like less than 100 hours in Overwatch, to be honest. I do not have that much time in Overwatch. So I'm by no means like a professional at all. But one thing I will say from like just spectating my friends on occasion, because like sometimes, you know, they'll join a quick match, right? And then I'll join later because I'm late to the party, because I usually am. And when I'm late, like I'll just jump in the team and then spectate one of them and just kind of switch between the players in the game. It's like Overwatch is such a chaotic game. It's so hard to follow. There's so much mess. And it's really funny because like League of Legends is also a super chaotic game with you have, you know, 5 different champions on both teams. All of them have different abilities. All of them have different everything. And it's so chaotic, and there's so many animations. There's so much stuff always going on in League of Legends, yet at the same time, at least with League of Legends, it's easy to kind of scope out the specific current game state. Right? Like you can kind of tell who's ahead, who's behind, and it really pushes a lot of tension, because in League of Legends, another thing that's fairly common is upsets. So like somebody will be really far behind, and then they'll get their win condition, right? Which is a specific hero getting their ultimate, or a specific person using their abilities in a specific way.
Like a big team fight ultimate coming in clutch in a fight. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's really interesting is I think League of Legends is more interesting to watch than Overwatch, even though it definitely has an equal, if not more, level of chaos to it. But I think that part of it is because, first of all, it's easy to tell who's ahead and who's behind. In Overwatch, sometimes it's easy to tell who's winning and who's not, but like sometimes it just seems super chaotic. And then the other thing is I feel like a lot of the maps on comp, like one mistake by one player in League of Legends can turn a whole team fight, and I feel like that happens way less in Overwatch. And I feel like it's less. It just makes it less interesting to watch, because in the comp arena, it's so controlled. Like the games are so controlled. There's more chaos, but at the same time, there's also like little chance of upsets, little chance of like surprises sometimes. And I just felt like it was really boring to watch.
Because there's only one objective, so it's less nuanced for sure. And in a game like League and Dota, there is technically just one objective, which is kill the enemy main building structure. But before you get to that, you have to get through towers, and before you get to that, you have to get through inhibitors. And so
and then you also have side lane objectives in League of Legends and Dota too, with Dragons and Baron. And I only played a little bit of Dota, so I'm not really sure what they are called in Dota, but the same level of things where it's like you have dragons that you can kill in the jungle in Dota that give your
Dota,
whole team buffs.
We have the Aegis. We have Shan.
That's right. Yeah. And then you have I don't even remember what it's called, but there's the map with the dragon. My friends and I, when we played Dota, we never cared to learn the real names of anything. So that's why I say I don't know, because it's just like we called the dragon thing Dragon Man Dan. I don't know why. It just came up in the conversation. Accurate. And so from now on, forever, whenever the group of people I play Dota with, which is a very small group of people, and we don't play Dota very often, especially because one of the people happens to be my ex, who doesn't play with us anymore, obviously. But when we were playing Dota, we always just called him Dragon Man Dan whenever anybody got him, and then we would all, get inside Dragon Man Dan, and
that's not even a bad
pretty
thing.
funny.
It's Dragon Dan Man Roshan himself.
yeah.
Kind of has a nice ringtone to it. It's just nice to follow.
Yeah. The other thing that I really thought was cool about Dota that I wish League of Legends would do more is different win conditions, right? Because you have the StarCraft map, I think. Yeah, the StarCraft map where it's you have to capture the points and then the points get you the wave of Zerg, right? That was always cool. I like the pirate map in Dota. Oh no, sorry, now I'm talking about Heroes of the Storm. Wrong game.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm. Okay, I was going to say
Heroes of the Storm.
Doesn't sound like Dota.
Yeah, that's HOTS. That's right. So in Heroes of the Storm, that's one thing that I wish Dota would do too. Actually, I'm thinking when I play Dota, I wish they would do more different win objectives like that, where it's in Heroes of the Storm with the StarCraft map, you have the Zerg Rush there's a pirate theme map where you have to get cannonballs and launch them at the enemy's base, and you're not allowed to actually physically attack the base. You have to win mini objectives around the map to get the win condition, which I'd always thought was really interesting too, of you have all these different win conditions and you have to sometimes you have to contest 2 at a time. And so it's you have to split your team. You have to choose to focus on one or try to contest the other one and pick up one objective if the team is focusing one, and then have your team reconvene. So it was just always interesting because I felt in Heroes of the Storm, it was everything was different. In addition to that, Heroes of the Storm was fun because it's like Super Smash Bros. Kind of, where it's if you play StarCraft, there's StarCraft characters in it. If you play World of Warcraft, there's World of Warcraft characters in it. If you play Overwatch, there's Overwatch characters in Heroes of the Storm. And so that was always kind of fun too, seeing, I don't even know, I don't play WoW and I don't play StarCraft very much, so I don't really know the characters and the story arcs. But it's seeing Zarya go up against, one of the main characters from World of Warcraft would just be interesting to some people, I think. And so I don't know why Heroes of the Storm never got a bigger player base, because it was really fun. I like that game too.
It's simple.
Yeah, it's very simple.
The problem with Heroes of the Storm is that it grabbed complex subjects that are normal to the MOBA genre, like last hitting, item builds and stuff like that, and simplified them and made them more digestible, because the game from the ground was designed to be a casual experience, similar to a game like Overwatch. It's meant to be a more casual game. So you have to understand, when a teenager gets their first computer and they're excited to play a game, the last fucking game they think of playing is likely to be a MOBA. And even if it was, it would be even less likely that it would be Heroes of the Storm. So Blizzard, in a sense, kind of shot themselves on the foot by creating this game, who is absolutely 100% only aimed at their players, because it's not a new IP. It's all reused characters from other IPs.
Yeah.
Right? So if a player wakes up in the morning and goes man, Tracer is so cool. They're not gonna think, I'm gonna play Tracer in HOTS. They're gonna go, I'm gonna go play Tracer in Overwatch. So the problem with HOTS especially with bringing a new player base, it was always about, it's not a new IP. So you can only drag players from already standing IPs.
True.
And that was the problem that it had. So when a MOBA player, gets in and it's I'm kind of tired of the MOBA I'm currently playing. What am I going to do? Well, it's either a League of Legends player that's going to try a Dota, or it's a Dota player that's going to try Leagues, or fucking God forbid they fucking try Heroes of New Earth, which is dead now.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
Or some other RTS. They would not think HOTS. You know what the people who play HOTS are the people who go, holy shit, the trailer for HOTS was so sick, I'm gonna try out the game. They play the game, they get disappointed, they close the game, and they never play it again.
True.
The only people who played HOTS competitively or take it too seriously are the people who know that they're not good enough to be a pro at League or Dota. It's just that simple.
True. Which is interesting because I definitely think that the group of people that I played Heroes of the Storm with were ex-League players, right? Because I don't really play League very much anymore. I think I've played like 2 or 3 games in like the past year, probably. It's not something I'm very interested in playing anymore. I think we switched to Heroes of the Storm because we were looking for a MOBA that would be less toxic of a community. Yeah, and also like just more fun and more capable of just memeing around, where it's like I think part of the problem with League of Legends is like even in normal quick play, you can still be flamed for picking off meta, which is really frustrating to some people, especially people like me, where it's like, for me, the lower the win rate of a specific character in a video game, the more likely I am to play them. Because I like, first of all, I like being different than everybody else a little bit. Obviously, I think that's a problem sometimes, but I like that. I also like a challenge. So it's like, that's why I also play really high skill cap champions. So like in League of Legends, my mains were Bard and Alistair, who at the time had very low win rates, but very high skill caps. Azir, Ryze were like my mid lane, and Brand, who are very low win rate, very high skill cap, very all or nothing as well, where it's like, if you're ahead, you're just destroying people. If you're behind, you're just getting fucking pushed into the dirt face first. I always found that really, I like that, like, very all or nothing gameplay. I think that's also why I play Hammond.
Is that what I'm hearing?
I do not like being stepped on, but I like a challenge. Sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I like a challenge.
So you're telling me you don't feel anything when a dummy mummy hero in League of Legends just fucking stomps all over you?
No.
Because it hits a little bit like that.
I also like it, so like if I'm being, absolutely destroyed by my fellow mid laner, I like the one time where it's like I win and I'm like, I got you. Ha. You don't have complete control over this lane. It's also mine. And that's always fun to me too. And I liked playing champions that had a lot of upset potential too, which like Brand is one of those. Azir is definitely one of those where they have these very high power utility focused ults or abilities that like can completely change the landscape of the game. Like Bard is that way. I don't know. Obviously, once again, we're talking about League of Legends, which is something I played a lot of, but Bard is a champion that has an ultimate in the game that is completely game changing. Although they did change a couple of things about it apparently recently that I didn't know. I played like a couple of games of League co-op versus AI with some friends that were learning the game recently, and they wanted me to like kind of pseudo coach them because I used to be like plat level. And so when I was playing with them, I was playing Bard, and apparently it doesn't immobilize turrets anymore. But it's like, it used to be able to make Dragon invulnerable for 2.5 seconds, Baron invulnerable for 2.5 seconds, any turrets in the game invulnerable for 2.5 seconds, as well as anything inside of it that was like a character. So minions were invulnerable for 2.5 seconds. All champions inside of it, enemy or ally, were invulnerable and immobile for 2.5 seconds. So it's just like everything, it literally just basically time freezes a section of the map, a very small section of the map for 2.5 seconds, which obviously in League of Legends time, 2.5 seconds is an eternity. And having, characters be able to do nothing, turrets able to do nothing for 2.5 seconds was completely game changing. So I liked having that upset potential where it's like,
we have a similar hero in Dota like that.
Yeah. What's the hero in Dota like that?
It's called Faceless Void. He's called
Faceless Void. Okay.
His ultimate is he puts this like big ass bubble in the middle that freezes everything in time, including allies. But here's the catch: it's like it also has a very big upset potential to destroy your own team, because if you fuck up and you catch too many of your own teammates in it, you're gonna get flamed, you're gonna get reported,
for sure.
You're gonna have a good time.
Yep, so I've had board games like that where I accidentally ruined team fights for my own team because I accidentally mistaked, or I've had moments, and this is a little bit toxic. I've had moments where I was having bad games, like I was with toxic people who were being an asshole to me, and I chose to like lose a team fight with my ult because I could.
No,
because it's just like I can just ruin it, and it's also fun when somebody's being really toxic and playing super risky as Bard, because you can just like catch them out as your teammate and just be like, nope, I'm gonna let the team catch you out here. And so it's like never be toxic to a Bard main because they know exactly how to fuck you over if they want to, every time. Yeah, and so that's a little hint for any League of Legends players out there. Don't be toxic to Bard mains, because if they're mad like me and they get angry sometimes, which I'm getting my anger under control. Back when I played League of Legends, I had a big anger problem. I've been through therapy. I'm coping with it now. But back then, now I probably wouldn't do anything like that. But back then, it was one of those things where, like, if you end up with like flaming a Bard main, they could definitely fuck you up. So yeah, I like that idea.
So let's talk a little bit less about like the specific heroes. And I kind of want to talk about one thing, and that's a little bit of my experience with League. When I first launched League, and then I came to the hero selection when I was playing the first round, I was mind blown.
Overwhelmed? Yeah.
No, not overwhelmed.
Okay.
Quite the opposite. I was expecting to get overwhelmed because I was expecting to have like hundreds of heroes in front of me to pick from.
Yeah.
And then the game's like, no, you can only pick 5. Pick one of these 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? But all of these look like shit. Like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm looking it up, and apparently, for those who don't know, when you play League of Legends, if not the large majority of the roster is locked out to you.
Yes, that is correct.
And to me, that was fucking mind blowing. So I pick up a hero that looks simple. You know, I think I forget what's the girl that throws arrow. Frost Ash, right? Yeah, she's just a straight up almost copy paste from another hero in Dota.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pick this hero, and I proceeded to completely stomp the game. But I was like, no, I'm not playing League.
Yeah, that's interesting because
the other thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Dota doesn't have that, right? Dota, all of the heroes are unlocked from day one, right?
Day one, you log in. Now it's like 180 something heroes. Just pick one and go get fucking shit on for like the next 3 weeks.
Right.
But that's the cool thing. It's like that's the appeal for me. Like that was always the appeal of Dota. When I was a kid playing back in 2000s, when I was playing in the Warcraft 3 days, it's like here's all these cool heroes. Pick one and figure it out. You know.
Right.
But in League of Legends, it's like, okay, no, actually, we think you're actually an idiot, so we're gonna teach you baby mode first. Here's 5 baby mode heroes for your baby mode brain. Go and figure this out, and then you can spend money. Then we'll allow you to spend money to pick the hero you actually want to pick. Yeah. I thought that was so fucking, like, I don't want to say toxic, but it was just...
It's very almost
what's the word I'm looking
I'm trying to think of the word, but yeah, it's very almost insulting.
You know how you're playing a mobile game and then you're having fun, and the mobile game's like, all right, you had enough fun, now you have to pay $20 to keep having fun. It's scummy. It's very scummy. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
I thought League of Legends is so scummy, and I still think
Heroes of the Storm is the same way, where most of the roster is locked. But I feel like it's also a lot easier to unlock heroes in Heroes of the Storm than it is in League of Legends. Because League of Legends, you like have to pay or play 40 to 50 games to unlock a single character generally.
Sounds so disgusting.
Yeah, it's exhausting. And so for me, I mean, once again,
games.
Yeah, I have 2,000 hours in League of Legends. So I have most of the roster unlocked, but I don't even have all of them unlocked.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. So it's pretty.
Okay,
I
so
mean, like,
let's do some paper math real quick. So napkin math.
yeah,
So let's say 40 hours. Let's grab the lower end of your range that you gave me. A League of Legends games. What's the average duration of a League of Legends game? What would you say?
Probably
What's a short
25 minutes.
A
short game is probably 20 minutes.
Okay, what's a long game?
A long game can be like 45 minutes.
All right, cool. So we grab something in between. We get 30 minutes or so. Let's just keep it 30 minutes. All right, 20 to 45. Let's say 30 minutes is the average. All right. So you have to play on average 40 games like that. So that's like 20 hours.
Yeah.
Oh look, one hero.
Yep.
Oh, and the other thing that absolutely blew my mind, like the hero thing, I could kind of upset at the time. Sure, it's a free-to-play game. They have to make money somehow. I'm sure there's boosters and shit like that. All right. But then I picked the hero and learned that there was a skill tree of passives for your hero.
Interesting.
And then I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. You're telling me that even if I get the hero I want to play, I still have to invest even more time and more effort into maxing this passive so that I can be at the same level as everybody else?
Yeah.
No. I quit the game at that moment. I said, fuck it. I'm just going to go play Dota and fucking play Techies.
Yeah. I feel like...
terrible.
Yeah, I feel like Dota and Heroes of the Storm are a little bit easier entry. I think that's one of the biggest problems, and I don't know if League of Legends has any intention. I don't... They were like on this kick of trying to bring in new players and make it easier and better for new players. Like they changed the intros, they changed everything, and they changed like all of the guides and all that stuff to make it a little bit more user friendly for new players. But I don't think they changed the way it works with the heroes being unlocked or locked. I think that still all of the heroes other than like 10 are locked behind a paywall, kind of an in-game paywall in League of Legends still. But I'm not sure because I haven't been a new player in freaking 7 years, so I'm not sure. It was ironically enough, you mentioned that like most people wouldn't pick Heroes of the Storm as their first game to play or even a MOBA. And ironically enough, League of Legends was the first game that I played when I got my first gaming desktop. But then again, I had been playing other games, including League of Legends, on like a really shitty computer that I had for a while. So.
I remember, just to like kind of go back, this is like going to this rant here to the side. When I was a kid in Ecuador, in South America, obviously we didn't have money for a computer, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have. We had eventually we got one, but even then, we had to share between 3 brothers, so it wasn't very fun. So a lot of how I started gaming was in cyber cafes. Have you ever gone to a gaming cafe before?
I have not, because we don't really have them in the States very much.
Yeah, in the States it's not a popular thing. But that's what's funny is that a lot of like the mainstream media comes when it comes to like YouTubers and all these people that make content for RTS. All these people, they don't know where most of the actual like player base comes from, and it's from players like me, and who as kids we didn't have money. We didn't have money to get our own computers. So what we did was we begged our parents for $1 or $2, and then we ran to a cyber cafe and we played there. That's like even today in China, I know that's like a really big thing. Like cyber cafes are a really, really big thing. But that is where I played Dota. That's where I played Counter-Strike. That's where I played all these competitive games, right?
Yeah.
Because you might be thinking, as a kid, you get a computer, and again, you don't think of playing RTSs, or do you don't think of playing MOBAs or competitive games for that matter too much? Well, nowadays it's kind of different, but back in those days, it wasn't. You would play single player games like, Elder Scrolls, or you would play first person shooters that aren't multiplayer shooters. You play all of that.
Where Halo and Call of Duty really pulled up their first players.
Yeah, but that's different, because Halo and Call of Duty were popular in the US, but outside the world was not playing on an Xbox because nobody could afford an Xbox at the age of 9. What most of the people were doing were, again, begging $1 or $2 from their parents, running their asses to the gaming cafe and playing whatever was there. And that's where like the real big bulk of the gaming community worldwide resided, in games like that were hosted on those cyber cafes. What games were those?
Right. Yeah, like League of Legends. Right, Dota 2. Stuff like that, right?
League, and even more so than those two games put together, Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and probably StarCraft and WoW too.
Graphics. Yeah, and
actually
StarCraft became a thing. Huh? And
World of Warcraft WoW. Yeah. Okay. But I always thought I don't know. I guess I don't know how much it was back then. I know that now, like, a WoW membership is actually kind of pricey. So
it is. No, back then. I'll tell you how it works. Back then, it's still the same, $15 a month. It's never changed. It's always been $15 on average. But there were some cyber cafes, and this is what they would do, who would host World of Warcraft, right? And so you walked in and you say, I want to play WoW. You pay up, and then they set you up with a special account. What they do is that they have these accounts that belong not to the player, but they rather belong to the owner of the cafe, who struck a deal with Blizzard, so that Blizzard gives them, like, not throwaway accounts, but basically an account that's like different from a privately owned account. And a player could make 1 or 2 characters in those accounts, and then they could play World of Warcraft like that. But the player himself would not own the Blizzard account. The player would own access to the character, which but the membership was paid by the owner, and the computer obviously by the owner. So the player, you would pay. I remember it was $1 for an hour and 30 minutes of gameplay. So you go in, pay $5, stay the whole afternoon. You would play World of Warcraft, and that's how most people played. So back then, when nobody knew what they were doing, it was because a lot of the bulk of the player base were people like me, who would not be able to own a gun, not a gun, what I say, a computer, not own a membership, and not own the base game. So what we would do is we would go to this cafe, like fucking forever away, walk like 45 minutes throughout the city, and then get to this cafe and sit there all afternoon and play. And we would never get past like level 15. That would be the highest level. Because sometimes, you have a set amount of time to get back and play the character before the owner has to delete it to make space for another person.
Makes sense.
So I would never get past level 15. I would replay the same fucking areas, the same fucking... I would always play Horde. I always play Horde because fuck the Alliance. And that's how people played. But that's the thing. It's like, after some time, I said, fuck it. My character's going to get deleted if I don't go play over there. It's going to take me forever to get over there, because only like 1 or 2 cafes in the entire city has access to this kind of tech. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to walk to the one that's 10 minutes away and play some fucking Dota, like, with my friends. And the point that I wanted to make is that back in those days, you would have a community. You have a community of people that go to that cafe specifically to game. I would grab my brother, and then I would grab my neighbors, and we would go as a team of 4 or 5, and then we would just stack and play Dota in this stupid thing called G Arena, which was this third-party software that would allow unlicensed copies of Warcraft 3 to play with one another. And that's what we would do. And we would play against like other people and there will be rivalries within like the cafes themselves. And we will have a rivalry between the cafe that we will play on and the cafe that's in Capital City, because there's only two of them that have the specialized just for gaming. And we would always talk shit to one another. It was great. It was fun.
Yeah, that's really that's cool, because like that's going back to like gaming community, which would have been interesting for me, because like part of my problem
for like the LAN community. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah. Part of my problem with gaming is, and why I don't do it a whole lot at times, and why it's like I have these like areas or these times in my life where I play a lot of games and times where I don't play a lot of games, is because gaming for me has always been a very social thing. I actually started gaming playing playing Super Smash Bros. With my brothers in our basements. Like that's where I started gaming. Yeah. I started gaming, and then you
wouldn't own the console itself. You would go to your rich friend who has the console. Yeah. Go over to their house, pick up and play with them. Like that's how we.
Well, here's the thing. Like I played with my brothers in our basement on a Nintendo 64, and people were like, "Oh wow, like you owned your own console." And I was like, "Yeah, but you have to realize, I didn't get a Nintendo 64 until I was like 14. My family didn't." Yeah. The Nintendo 64 came out the year that I was born. Yeah. So it was a 14-year-old console. Yeah, and it was a used console too. We got a used console off of eBay and one copy of one game. So, and then we spent like the next couple of years collecting games for it. And eventually, I think like maybe, I don't know, 7 years after that, we got a GameCube finally. And then we got a Wii at some point. It was one of those things where it was like, I played games with my brothers in a LAN setting, kind of, shared screen. And then it was interesting to me because when I didn't really start playing games on a computer until I was like 16, 17, because I had a couple of friends who are gamers who had better computers than me already. And I was like hackneying my way into playing games with them on like, I think it was a Pentium Core, like tiny crappy Intel CPU, no graphics card. I was playing everything at absolutely trash settings. Like literally drag every slider all the way to the left, and even then sometimes I'm still blue screening. Like real bad. Like I would not be able to finish games, and so
gaming has changed so much in the past decade.
It's
absolutely insane.
It's interesting, and it's like I started late, like I said, so it's like a lot of people didn't, I know a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I started gaming when I was like 7 or 8 years old, or even earlier for some. Like I have friends here in the States who are like playing Halo at the age of 4, and I was like, when I was 4, I was outside hitting my brothers with sticks. Like that was our hobby. Like we didn't have any games, we had nothing. And so it was really interesting. And now, of course, I really enjoy gaming, and I play a lot of different games, and I've invested in a good gaming computer. But it was really interesting because like I like that element almost of like camaraderie and that like gaming culture. And I never really had that because I never really played with anything like that or had a group of people to do that, other than outside of, I did go to a couple of Smash like competitions. But even then, it's a little bit different, like, because it's not like you have one group of people who are in a LAN who are all playing, World of Warcraft together or whatever. Because like it's always 1v1s. It's always like it's everyone versus everyone, right? There's no teams. There's nothing like that really. And so, but it was still fun, and it was a good time, and I didn't do too horribly, although I'm by no means any good at Smash anymore. Because back then it was like we were LANing with GameCubes type thing.
Be honest, you were never good at Smash. Nobody was ever good at Smash.
That's true, especially not compared to like the pros at Smash. Like watching AlphaRad play. I don't know if you follow the channel AlphaRad, but watching AlphaRad just play like quick play is super funny to me because he's just trolling people most of the time, especially when he like does duos. Where he has another friend there, and they're just like literally they're trying to like infinite people with nests in duos. Yeah, and it's just like it's super toxic and funny. But I always liked Smash gameplay.
But that's the thing. It's like gaming has changed so much in the past decade, and It's gone from like this global. Like we're talking about in general. No, I'm not talking about just the US, but in the Earth as a whole. It's gone from this thing that you used to do with your friends because games were cool, and as a kid you saw the flashy characters doing shit, and you went, oh, I want to do that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You went through something. Doing that as a group of friends in like a cyber cafe in the middle of fucking nowhere. To it's been turned to everybody has internet, everybody has a graphics card now, everybody kind of plays and makes lobbies online, and this has like changed a lot of what gaming used to be, I would say. And now, but at the same time, it has allowed for this whole esports thing to come out. And one of the bigger overarching points I've been trying to make is that throughout this entire pitch is that I personally think that while esports are a good thing and professionals that can make a living out of their esports should and absolutely deserve to be rewarded for their work and effort.
For sure.
I think that esports for the consumer in general, like the regular Joes, you and I, that we play, it's a bad thing. It's a toxic thing because now we stop looking at games from the point of having fun. We no longer see like a game like Overwatch or a game like Smash or a game like League of Legends or Dota. We no longer see it from the eyes of a kid who just wants to have fun. Now we see it from the eyes of pros who have all this min-maxing to do to become the very, 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 very best that they could possibly do to try to fucking earn their bread on their table. And I think that is the biggest, like, one of the biggest issues that gaming is facing. Not the gaming industry, because that's different, but gaming as a culture. That I wish people would just stop looking at games like they want to go pro all the time and start looking at games through the eyes of a 7-year-old who, for the first time, has seen a fucking World of Warcraft characters and goes, oh, I want to be that. I want to do that. I want to log in and figure out what the hell is going on there. Instead of now, it's like my little brother gets into a game and he's like, okay, I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to see what's the best fucking build, and I'm going to see what's the best gear, and I'm going to see what's the best everything, and I'm going to grind my ass. And oh, what's that? Having fun? Fuck that. I need to be better than everybody else, and then I'll have fun.
Right.
But no, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
That's absolutely not how it is.
I definitely agree with you. I'm definitely on board with that. Of like, I definitely wish we could bring back that kind of culture. And I don't know. I think a lot of games are trying to. I think League of Legends in particular, because for a while there, around the time, ironically enough, that I stopped playing too, they had a lot of professional players and high level players. And then, of course, even more like mid-level and low-level players just bailing because it was so toxic and it was just so unfun to play. And I feel like I've seen the same thing, ironically enough, happening with Overwatch. And I think they've done a few little things to try and make it a little bit easier. But I think that it's really interesting to see.
But it's not a problem. It's not a problem of the... see, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not a gaming industry problem. It's a gaming culture problem. Like, hold on. I'll let you go, but you just reminded me of something. Have you ever had something like this happened to you? And this is for everybody, and I'm sure 100% everybody could relate to. Have you ever had this game that you have a lot of fun with, like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Dota, and then you ask your best new friend, it's like, hey, come play this game with me, and they go, it's not my type of game, you know. It looks a little too hard for me. That is also what we're talking about, because by proxy, these people look at these games and think, oh, I have to be good at this, or I can't have fun. I have to like make sure I perform, or that I pull my weight, and then I can have fun. It's like, no. And this happened to me especially with most recently with my previous partner. I would try to get her to play Dota with me, and she goes, no, it's too stressful for me. And I ask her, well, what's so stressful about it? And she goes, I don't know what to do. What? And at the time, I didn't realize that I was just being supportive. I'm like, okay, I get it. No, I'm not going to push you over it. But now, in retrospective, I look back at it and go, when did games become like that? When does a kid look at a game and go, "I'm scared of that game"? Especially if it's not, obviously if it's not a scary game, yeah. Like it's a fucking game, and they look at a game like Mario Kart and they go, "That looks scary. I need to be good at that before I play it." It's like, what? No, just play. Just try to have fun for a little bit. And that's the thing. It's like it's this culture that we have as gamers where we're trying to put this competitive nonsense on top of actually having fun. That starts spreading, and we start normalizing this idea that makes it more difficult for people to just enjoy a game despite it being hard. Because I remember when I was the first online game I played was Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, back in 1999.
Interesting.
1999. I saw that game come out, and somebody was playing it in the cyber cafe that I was going to, late 1999, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I didn't get scared of it, you know. I didn't think, oh, that looks too hard. I go, holy shit, I want to try that, you know. Let's go.
Right.
Like, why did we allow? We kind of have failed as gamers, as people who enjoy games as hobbies. We failed not only ourselves but the community and the people around us, because we have allowed this competitive pressure to invade the spirit of what it is to just have fun with a game.
Yeah.
That I think is a big, big, big shame that we need to somehow fix. But I don't think it's going to be even.
So I agree with you. And I think so the reason why I bring up League of Legends wanting to try and kind of solve some of those problems is because the interesting thing is you're right. It is definitely a gamer culture problem. It definitely is. I would agree with you. And the reason why League is trying to fix it isn't because it's a problem that they created, although it kind of is. Ironically, I think League of Legends was one of the first games.
But they didn't create it. Yeah.
I think League of Legends and CS:GO were part of the problem because they made their games so competitive, and also like overhyped their competitive scene. But
wait, hold up. I'm gonna have to stop you there, because again, when did games like Warcraft 3, Counter-Strike, StarCraft come out? They came out in the early 2000s, if not sooner than that. And for the longest time, the competitive scene was there. Sure, there were tournaments. Sure, StarCraft had like world tournaments that people were super hyped about. But you know, you would launch StarCraft in like the 2000s, and you wouldn't get to that point where you think, I have to be good to have fun yet. It wasn't the fault of the game being competitive yet. I think it was the fault of media normalizing competitive esports, that then the consumers started consuming that, you know, gamers started consuming that media and being like, oh, and kind of like self-reflect a little bit and go, oh, I'm actually really shit at this game. Wow, that's perhaps maybe even feel embarrassed about that. And then they're like, and then they when they look at the game again, they approach it with a different point of view, and they go, that's when the doubt starts. Like, I have to be good. Like, I have to be good to have fun. Like, and they just forget that it's like that. Yeah.
I think that, and the reason why I brought up CS:GO in particular and League of Legends is because I think that those were the first two, at least that I saw, and maybe there were others as well, obviously, that were along there, probably StarCraft too, but they were the first ones where the company, like before, when it was World of Warcraft and when it was StarCraft and these games, and they had these competitions, and the competitions were important and people enjoyed them, but I feel like at the time, Blizzard and I can't remember. Is it who made Dota
or Valve?
Who made StarCraft? No, it was just Blizzard. It was just Blizzard because StarCraft is a Blizzard game too, right? or maybe it was somebody else at that time and they bought it. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not sure about the history of those games because I didn't play them because I didn't have the capability of playing Warcraft when it was more popular in that age.
I'll tell you what happened real quick. Warcraft 3 was Blizzard. Then Dota was a mod for Warcraft 3. However, one of the lead developers of Dota was hired by Valve, and then Valve got the rights to the Dota IP, and then it became Valve's IP. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But I think that like before those like competitions became really big, the competitive nature was driven by the player base. So like the player base was like, I'm really good. I want to test my skills against the best. So I'm going to set up a competition. I think the problem came when Blizzard started realizing they could make money off of those competitions. When those companies started realizing they could make money off of the competitions and started investing in and started, instead of letting the community drive the competitions, they started getting involved in them. And then they started pushing that narrative from their side that the game is a competitive game so they could get more people in the competitive scene to make more money off of the competitive scene. So they kind of did create the problem, but that's not what I was getting at, is that League of Legends was definitely doing that. They were definitely one of the big players who was pushing their game as a competitive game to get people better at the game, to get more people in the competitive scene, to get more competitive teams at a high level to make more money off of the competitive scene. They definitely did that. In fact, they kind of admitted to doing that in a couple of press releases when they were like, we need to start solving this problem.
A company has no shame. A company will always do what's in their interest. That's what a company does. And that's just how it is. So they admitting it? Yeah, they don't care.
What they didn't realize though, and this is what the press briefing was about, that League of Legends released, I don't know, I think it was like in 2018 or something like that they were going to start making changes to try to make their game less competitive on like the quick play side of things. And the reason why is because they were like, we made these choices without realizing how they would affect the larger player base. And then, I mean, like between, I think it was like 2012 and 2018, League of Legends lost something crazy. Like they gained a crazy number of players too at one point. I can't remember exactly what the time scale is, but they lost like a crazy number of players, like something in the millions of players throughout the course of like 5 or 6 years. And when they started doing like sending out these emails to people being like, why did you stop playing League of Legends? Why has your account been dormant for 9 months? And unilaterally, the players were like, because the game got so competitive that the community got too toxic. And I feel like CSGO dealt with that. I feel like a lot of companies dealt with this mentality of gamers. And so now there are a few companies, and I think actually Blizzard is doing it too, with Heroes of the Storm and a few of their other games, definitely with Overwatch. I feel like they're focusing less on Overwatch League these days. Like they're hyping it up less. They're spending less time on it. They're also spending less money on it and trying to get, like, they're not trying to push people into the competitive scene anymore.
So here's what happened with that. They're backing off. Yeah, you're right. They're backing up from the competitive scene because they've realized, why does a company backs off from an investment? Easy answer. Go ahead. Why does a company
they're losing money on it now because they're losing their major player base. Because a lot of the people are going, I'm not here to play Overwatch to play with people and sweat. I'm here to play Overwatch to have fun. And that's still the majority of gamers, I think. But the problem is that that's very small minority of very outspoken, toxic people. When you ruin, and it's one of those things where it's like, I went back and played 3 games of League of Legends in 2020, like mid 2020, in like I think it was August of 2020. And I had 2 really fun, really great games in a row that were awesome. And then I had one game where I just had somebody super toxic on my team who was trash talking our whole team the entire time. And I just went, now I remember why I quit. That's why I quit. Because you're not here to have fun and mess around. You're here to win. And that's all you care about. And when somebody's not helping you, you get pissed and do all that stuff. And so it's like, I realized that's why I had stopped playing the game. And I went back to not playing the game. And so I think that still a lot of people have that mentality. And I think that's why League of Legends bled player base. I think that's why Overwatch bled player base. I think that's why Dota bled player base for a long time. Although I think now all of them are starting to pick back up again because they're kind of trying to put more effort into minimizing those player interactions in that way and really trying to make the player base a friendlier start and make the culture of their game a little better, because they have the power to do that. They can change their player base quite dramatically through the things that they choose to institute. And so I don't know, we'll see where it goes. It'll be interesting to see how gaming changes in the next decade too. Well,
the thing is with Overwatch compared to something like StarCraft or Counter-Strike, the thing is it's two different stories really. Because one, a game like Counter-Strike, even if it's no longer Counter-Strike 1.6 and it's now CS:GO, it's still technically at its core the same game. You know, it already had those games, StarCraft, Counter-Strike, and Warcraft 3. They already had established competitive scene, and you were right. I really like what you said that. Companies came in, they saw an opportunity to make money, and then they pushed that. But see, why it didn't work with Overwatch is because of those objects that we talked about earlier, of it not being a good spectator game. But also because Overwatch never had the time to develop that competitive scene. You know, just when like a year after the game released, they come out with the Overwatch League, and then Blizzard is hoping that everything's going to fall into place and everybody's going to get into it and whatnot. But the reality of the situation is that Overwatch never got a chance of testing by itself whether or not it was a good competitive esport, right?
100%.
It never got the chance of figuring out what the problems are with the game at the time. For example, is it okay for two of the same heroes to be in two different sides of the map? You know, is it okay for should you restrict the amount of tanks or roles that are like all this stuff? Like the game never got enough time to figure out all these kinks, and then Blizzard with the Overwatch League, it's now stuck with the Overwatch League because they have invested millions of dollars, not only in teams, but infrastructure of it. And then they go, okay, well, shit, we need to make this work. Now we are going to be the ones who implement these rules. Okay, these are the rules, blah, 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 blah. They might not be the most competitive ones or the most, or the best ones for the esport itself.
Right.
But we don't care. We already invested money. We already invested in this. We need to make this work. And then the players are kind of stuck with whatever they came up with. But when it came down to a game like StarCraft or a game like Counter-Strike or League of Legends that already had a competitive scene, that already figured out all these kinks, that already had a bunch of tournaments set up for it, when Riot Gaming and when Valve and when also to the extent Blizzard came in and tried to make money out of it, for them it was easy because all the hard work was already done for them by the community. All they had to do was throw a big fuck off tournament with a bunch of money, and then the competitive scene would handle the rest. And that's why those games, from a competitive point of view, they're a success, because they had literal years, and some of them over a decade worth of time to figure out what maps are competitive and what maps are not, what strategies should be banned, or how a team is selected, stuff like that. And the competitive scene was already there. Those games as an esport succeeded because A, the scene was already there for them, and B, they're good games in terms of viewing them, like in terms of watching somebody play them. But Overwatch had neither of those things. Right. And that's why they failed. That's why Overwatch failed as an esport, to be honest with you, and that's why it's stuck in limbo right now. And this whole Overwatch 2 thing is its own fucking problem. It's all fucking rabbit hole of bullshit that I'd rather not get into right now. But to get back to the subject of what's the word? Not I can't think of toxicity. There we go.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the toxicity was always there.
For sure.
I remember yelling across the cafe, the cyber cafe, when I was 9, and talking shit to my friends over on the other team. It's like, you fucking suck and stuff like that. We just yell over the the chairs and be like, you're trash, watch this. But here's the thing, it was friendly banter at that point, right?
Yeah.
When it came to when we were playing with like other people that we didn't know at that time, sometimes they would start talking smack, but you know what? It didn't stop us, like it would stop people now. Because let's say somebody ruins a game, like you're playing League and somebody's being toxic and decides to just AFK or not do anything or even feed perhaps.
Yeah.
If you play the game from a competitive standpoint, the game is ruined. But when people used to do that back in my days, when we were playing, when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, and somebody fed the enemy team on our team, you know what we would do? We would shrug. We would keep playing because we weren't taking the game seriously. We weren't playing for a fucking prize pool. We weren't playing for MMR. We were just there to have fun. So if one guy on our team decided to be a clown and decided to ruin the game, we just let him and we just ignore him. We just go ahead and keep playing. What's that? Oh, the enemy carry in the enemy team is super OP now because he got fed up. Oh, whatever. Next game, GG, no remake the game.
Yeah,
and that was it. That was the end of that. But now it's different because now everybody's trying to take the game seriously. Everybody's trying to be super competitive. Everybody has like a fucking, a certain amount of skill that they think that they have to accomplish within the game before they have fun. So when somebody goes in and gets triggered and gets toxic, then it's ruined for everybody else. But that didn't used to be the case. Toxicity was there. We would talk smack. Sorry, just to finish. Toxicity was there. We would talk shit. We would talk smack, but we would not allow the toxicity to ruin our fun. That's the core of the issue, in my opinion. Because nowadays, now gamers let that toxicity get in the way, because that's how the culture is now.
Yeah, and I think the huge thing is, I think here one of the big differences is so for example, in the Smash community, right? Totally the same thing. We used to shout at each other and scream and call each other terrible words because we were trying to get in each other's heads, playing the psychological game. And I don't think that and this is one thing, is like, first of all, as long as it's not too horrible and as long as it doesn't go too far, I don't think toxicity and smack talk from an enemy team to my team or from my team to the enemy team is bad. I think that that's part of the game. I think that sparring mentally is just as important as sparring in the game and trying to get in each other's heads. There's a psychological element there that I think will always be there in gaming. I think the difference came when your own team, like you were talking about, right? When somebody decided to trash the game and throw away your guys, your team's win because they wanted to feed or whatever, because they were just being dumb and they thought that it was funny. Right? When somebody did that, you would just shrug it off. Whereas nowadays, it's like if somebody's playing bad, even in quick play, even in games where MMR isn't on the line, where money's not on the line, where there's not, like, winning literally does nothing to you in League quick play or in Overwatch quick play. Losing a game is absolutely, like, it doesn't do anything at all. And so I think that where that toxicity came as a problem is when it started being directed at your own teammates, from your teammates to you or from your teammates to each other. And that really is what pushes people away from those games. And that is spawned by that desire to win, that desire to prove that you have the skill level. And what's interesting to me is it's usually coming from, as a general rule, obviously not always, but usually it's coming from the worst player on your team. Usually it's coming from somebody who's making poor decisions or is behaving erratically. And the problem with that, of course, is like if it's a team game like Overwatch or League of Legends, when the toxic player is being toxic and then is way overextended and dying for it and then blaming you, you're like, yeah, but it's your mistake. And then it creates this like conflict because you're both on opposing sides, even though you're supposed to be in the team, and then the team falls apart and you lose the game, and that person's more upset because they lost the game, and then you're sitting there like, I don't deserve to be called, you know, terrible words, terrible, awful things simply for fucking not being perfect or not playing the game the way that you play the game, for playing with my team the way that they want to play the game. And it's just kind of like, it's one of those things where I definitely feel like that's a huge part of the problem with toxicity, because the toxicity from, once again, you know, that butting of heads always was in gaming culture. You're right. It was always there in Halo lands. But the other thing there is also like, in those back in that day, when it was like you're shouting across, you know, the room at the person who you're Halo landing with, or shouting across the room at the other person in the LAN cafe, right? You know that person, at least tangentially, right? They live in your same area. They're probably pretty similar to you. They might even go to the same school as you. In a lot of instances, when people were trash talking back then, it was like me and my friends when we would trash talk each other in League of Legends while we're playing a game in the same room. But our trash talk wasn't serious because we weren't trying to, right? We knew each other, right?
Yeah.
You know the people that you're talking to some degree. And I think that also changes it too. It coming from a friend versus a stranger is a little different too. Because obviously, like, my friends and I, when we're playing Minecraft together, we talk shit the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time. We're constantly just hating on each other. And I'm sure that if you walked in and overheard the conversation, you'd be like, wow, these people do not get along. But really, we get along really well because we all understand that, and we're all from that gaming culture where the trash talk is part of it. But at the same time, there's an element to that trash talk that's a little bit friendlier almost, because it's like, you know, the person that it's coming from, you know, their life story, you know that the thing that they're saying is supposed to be funny or prying at you to get a reaction. But when it's coming from a stranger on the internet through a keyboard, it's very different, or even in voice comms. And so I always thought that was interesting, which League of Legends adding voice comms, terrible decision. Terrible decision. We're talking, you know, Halo 1 or Halo 2 lobby level toxicity, just garbage level toxicity. But, you know, that's also content for some people. It's content for me. I like that because I've always enjoyed going after people and responding in that way, and being toxic to toxic people. I've always enjoyed that a little bit. I try to do it a little bit more lighthearted now, but I used to just get pissed back. But yeah,
it's my guilty pleasure too. Don't worry.
Yeah. Just getting salty at somebody who's salty at you is always a good time.
Sometimes that's just what you need.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes you just need somebody to yell at, and somebody to yell at you back and forth for a little bit. But But see, the thing is, I understand what you're saying. I understand that you're saying, you know, when you're trash talking with a friend, it's different from trash talking with a stranger on the internet. But at the same time, it's not a matter of whether or not the stranger in the internet trash talking you is a bad thing. Of course it is. But what I'm saying is that the culture has changed to a degree that because of this, again, competitive pressure that is put on casual players that have no business being there. Those casual players, when they face somebody who's toxic online, they no longer feel like, okay, I'm just playing a game, this guy's taking it a little too seriously, I'm going to stop. This pressure is now what makes it so that they participate in this toxic behavior. And that's where things go wrong. Because a conversation is a two-way street, you know. Now that person's being toxic, but you're trying your best to be as good as you can be. And then you get a little too emotional, and then you become the toxic person too. Yeah, you know, and it's because because of this pressure of being good and performing to a certain degree that it's now there that wasn't there a decade or so ago. that
Yeah.
kind of like makes this toxicity spread further than it should, like way further than it
100%.
should.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
just like people absolutely step over boundaries nowadays when it comes to like trash talking and trying to get under the skin of somebody else.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like unheard of.
Yeah.
If you again go back 20 years ago and read off like a toxic League of Legends chat to just a person that knows about games, but doesn't necessarily know what this culture is like now, they'll be like, "You're crazy. This is ridiculous."
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
You're good.
But hold
Oh, the bunny's back.
on.
Hello, Bun Bun.
Oh my god.
Mira ya por tu puerta, está acá de nieve.
How many feet of snow do we have?
Sí, me llega por aquí la nieve.
Okay.
Mira por ahí,
Ya voy a ver, ya voy a ver.
prende la luz.
Ya voy a ver. So my mom's freaking out because apparently the snow has reached all the way. Holy shit! The snow is all the way to her waist. We have over 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! I just opened. I just
Have
opened the
been
window
there.
of my door. I just opened the window of my door and turned the light on the other side. There is a literal mountain, like a mountain of snow, on just there in my backyard.
That's awesome. Yeah, where I live, we've had a couple of snowstorms like that. And I mean, like, we've had snowstorms big enough that my brothers and I have, like, tunneled all the way under, like, a drift and just, like, had, like, a little house-like thing in the drift. Like, tall enough, literally, we had a room built into a drift at one point that was tall enough that we could stand up inside it, which is not that impressive considering that at the time we were probably, like, a little over 5 foot tall, but still, like...
That's a lot of snow.
Huge drift. Yeah, huge drift. We get a lot of snow out here. It actually snowed here a couple days ago, and lots of cars in the ditches.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I counted. I make it a hobby of counting. There were 5 cars in the ditch on the way to my workplace, and of the 5 cars, 3 of them had California license plates. So.
Okay. That is something crazy to me, the amount of snow. When I first came to the US back in 2010, I came to visit family over. To me, the snow was like just the most magical fucking thing ever.
Right.
Because you have to understand, like from where I'm from, we have two seasons. We have dry summer, and then we have rainy summer. That's it.
Yeah.
So to me, snow was crazy. And now, like even now, seeing it piled up all the way to the rooftop of my house in like a fucking mountain of snow, that's insane. Right. Especially because the last couple of years, 3-4 years, here in the East Coast, here in New York, we have like very little snow. We've actually had so little snow, but that actually kind of caught me off guard.
That's interesting.
I remember my first experience with snow was my uncle grabbing me by the leg, hanging me upside down by the leg, and then just shoving me into a big pile of snow. There could have been a fire hydrant in that, but he didn't care. But there I went. It was fun.
My brothers and I.
Go ahead.
My brothers and I used to wrestle in the snow. I mean, like where I grew up here, so I've dealt with like extreme snow every year since I was born. But my brothers and I used to go out in the snow and just push each other and tackle each other and wrestle around in it because it was great. Because it's like if you tackle somebody onto the dirt, you might hurt them. If you tackle somebody on the snow, they're probably fine. So, but yeah.
So I didn't learn until I got here to New York that apparently throwing a snowball is a civil offense of sorts. So when I was I was walking towards school, I just grabbed a little bit of snow, made it into a ball, and threw it at some kid in front of me. a fucking police officer came in to me and like, you can't do that. Stop that. I'm like, why? He's like, no, don't do that. And started threatening me. I'm like, what? And
my brothers and I have committed a lot of civil offenses then.
yeah, I'm like, what is this person just bitching over? Like, this kid's throwing snowballs all over the place, and then he just picks on me for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never knew that one. That's a new one to me. My brothers and I used to have, in the summer here, we used to have dirt clod wars, which I feel like is significantly more violent than throwing a snowball at somebody. So
yeah, it sure sounds like it.
Yeah. I got hit in the mouth once.
Ooh.
I was chewing on sand for like 3 days, basically. Because it doesn't just like wash out. It's wild.
No, it doesn't. Oh my god! And speaking of sand, it wasn't until I came here to the US that I've come to meet people who are in their 30s and maybe some even in their 20s to backwards. Some in their 20s and some even in their 30s that have never been to the beach. That have never seen the ocean. And I'm like, what? How?
Yeah.
How? I don't get it. How can you go 3 decades of your life and then not a single time gone to the beach and like stepped on the hot sand and then fucking run because running is the only option when you don't have sandals on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get
Ocean Beach. I've only been to twice in my entire life.
Yeah, but
once in California, once in Florida.
At least you've seen
and then beaches for like, well, we have there's a lake that I've been to called Lake Ogallala in Nebraska. It's pretty far away from my house, but we have some friends who own some property up there. And so like we've been able to go up there every now and then to stay for a while, and it's a white sand beach lake. So it looks kind of like an ocean because it's a huge lake, but you can actually see the other side. So we've gone up there every now and then for like every 2 years. The people who own it, who are our friends, are my brother's in-laws. And so we go up there like every couple of years with them. And so it's a good time though. I always liked beaches. I just don't like sand very much. So I generally avoid it whenever I can, unless there are people who are more fun to hang out with.
Here's the trick with sand. It's gonna get anywhere. It's gonna get everywhere. Anyways, just embrace it and take a shower afterwards. There's nothing you can do.
Yep. Yeah, well, when you're like staying in the sand for like 5 days in like a camper, there's no like, you can't just like wash it off. It's just sand is everywhere, and it's just a constant part of your life until you leave.
Yep.
I couldn't live. I guess there are some people who live on the beach. I couldn't do it. I don't know how you do it. Just to live to live there. I don't know. I also don't. The other thing that interests me, I know people who let their animals, like inside animals, into bathrooms. So like their cats into their bathroom. I don't know how they do it, because I house sat for a couple for a while who like their cat just had full roam of the house. And when I was doing that, it was insane to me, because like you dry off with a towel and you're covered in cat hair again. And I'm like, I couldn't do this. I couldn't live like this long term. So it's like I would go home and shower. So I could dry off without cat hair.
As somebody who obviously has a rabbit who sheds all the time, we also have 3 cats. I can tell you right now, it's a matter of 1, keeping the door closed, and 2, making sure that the pets are properly trained and have like their proper things ready.
Yeah, because I also think properly maintained. I grew up on a farm.
Oh, okay.
So I know how to deal with animals pretty well. So properly trained and also properly maintained. Like, brush them, take care of them.
If you have a cat, right, and you don't brush the cat weekly, then the hair gets everywhere. Then it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But no, like we have 3 cats, and my mom absolutely adores them to death. So she brushes them almost daily. At least she tries to brush at least one cat a day. The ones that let her. But I can tell just because if I forget, like if something happens in my life and I get really stressed and I'm whether it was work or college or whatever it is, and I forget to brush my rabbit, I can tell there's fur everywhere immediately. Yep. Especially if she starts shedding. But if I grab my brush and I properly take care of my pet and brush them properly as often as they actually need to be brushed, then the hair gets caught on the brush. You put it in the trash can, and that's it. It doesn't get on your it doesn't get on your towels. It doesn't get on your mirrors. It doesn't get on anywhere that doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
that the pet doesn't hang out 24/7.
Our dogs are trained not to go into bathrooms and not to enter like the back side of the house. They only stay in the front side of the house. And then we try to brush them quite often, and we give them baths and stuff like that because they're our only really inside animals. We do have cats, but my mom's allergic to cats, so they stay outside. They're barn cats. They deal with the rats and mice and stuff like that. And so so it's like we don't have to worry so much about them. But I think I was the first person because when I went to their house to house sit for them, and part of it was to take care of their animals. Part of it was to pet sit their like 3 cats and 2 dogs. And I got there, and the first thing I asked was, where are your brushes? And they said, we don't have them. And I'm like, what? And so I think I brought my own brushes with me when I went over there the next day to, get all my stuff set up. And I think I was the first person to brush their animals.
No, they need brush, man. They need brushing.
Yeah,
sure. It gets itchy for them
for sure,
and then they start scratching, and that's when the fur gets everywhere.
Yep, exactly. Which happens with our Australian Shepherd if he goes too long without being brushed, and then he sheds everywhere for like days on end, and you're like, ugh. And even if you brush him, he still sheds because,
I have 3 different brushes literally sitting right next to me. I have a lint roller and I have hold on. It's kind of hot. I have a hand vacuum. So like,
nice.
And this is just one rabbit, obviously. And whenever where she lays down, obviously there's a shit ton of fur. You just have to learn how to take care of it and then clean the play space. Like if fur gets to the point where you have it on your towels, it's not the pet's fault. It's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Agreed.
your fault. You didn't clean after your pet properly. You got lazy, or you just don't know how to properly take care of your pet. It's just
I couldn't live like that. Same thing with sand. Like I couldn't live with sand in my towel. I would just move. If I lived in a place where there was sand in my towel, I would be like, "We're done.
Oh my God.
I'm going home.
We're done here, everybody.
We're done here. I'm leaving. I don't care. What's my lease? 6 months? Great. I'll take the cost. I'm going home." But no. I don't like sand. I don't like the line from Star Wars, but I don't like sand.
So it gets better. It gets easier. If you like know how to like, so this is what we did. Like, when you go to the beach and you go into the ocean, like the water there is filled with sand particles all over the place. So even if you're like being careful, it doesn't matter. It's gonna get caught in the cloths. So like what you have to do is you have to grab, when you're done playing on the beach, you have to grab all your fucking bathing suit shit and put it in a plastic bag, and then clean that, and then you wash yourself. But no. I don't know. I personally didn't have that much trouble, even the times that I did go to the beach and we stayed over at like my uncle's place that he has a residence there. Yeah.
Well, like going to the beach is fine. Visiting the beach is fine. And then as long as like it's like if your house isn't like literally on the sand, it's fine. Like we went to, I guess that's the other time I went to the beach. We went to Washington, or Oregon for a vacation at one point. And when we were in Oregon, we had a beach. We were close to the beach, but like our house was like the house that we were staying in, the rental that we were staying in was like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile off the beach.
Okay.
So there was no sand in the house. We would go to the beach, we would hang out at the beach all day, and then we would come back and we'd take showers and stuff like that. And as long as you cleaned up, as long as you swept and stuff like that, the sand didn't become a problem. But it's like if your house is like what I'm talking about is I know people who live like literally on the beach where it's like there's no way to avoid it because it gets in everything. It's just in the air there. And so, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's different. That's a whole different.
I couldn't do it.
You have to.
I guess surfers are probably fine with it.
Oh yeah, they
live out there.
Job, I guess.
Yeah.
So Tully,
like,
did you ever play Yu-Gi-Oh when you were a kid?
No, I did not.
What was your card game as a kid?
I didn't have one.
You didn't have one. How come? Did you not watch Pokemon? Did you not watch Yu-Gi-Oh when you were a kid?
Nope. I know Pokemon from Smash Bros. So Pikachu's my favorite Pokemon.
So wait, you didn't watch the actual Pokemon anime either? I
didn't have a TV that had... So we had a TV, but we didn't have cable or television. Like we had a DVD player. Okay. And a VHS player. We had a VHS player when I was very young, and then growing up, we got a DVD player when I was maybe like, I don't know, 11 or 12. And so we didn't have like television to watch. So I didn't watch any like of the kids shows that everyone else watched. So like, for example, I've never watched SpongeBob. Never watched Pokemon, never watched Yu-Gi-Oh, never watched Dragon Ball, never watched Naruto.
No.
I didn't watch Avatar: The Last Airbender until last year.
No wonder you grew up so fucked up.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah. Yeah, I didn't like, and that's the thing is like, it's funny because now that I'm an adult, I struggle to connect to people my own age because 50% of the references I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a SpongeBob reference. I've seen 3 episodes of SpongeBob. And here's the thing about SpongeBob is, would it be funny if I was 12 years old? Yeah. Would it be funny now if I watched it when I was 12 years old? Yeah. Now that I'm 18, 20, 25, watching SpongeBob now, it's just fucking dumb. I'm sorry, it is. If you don't get inducted into the sense of humor from a young age, it's not funny. So
no. This is what you need to do. Yeah. This is what you need to do. Watch only season 1 of SpongeBob.
I did. I watched the first 3 episodes. I couldn't do it. That's what everyone tells me. Everyone tells me, oh, you just have to watch the first season of SpongeBob to get into it. It's not funny. I'm sorry. If you didn't watch it when you were young, it's just not funny.
That's not true. I have uncles that watched alongside with me, and like my grandpa would watch SpongeBob with me. He would laugh too. He would try to not pay attention while reading his newspaper, and he would fucking pop a chuckle here and there.
Maybe they had something that got them inducted into that sense of humor too. I didn't. Like I didn't. My family's sense of humor is exclusively sarcasm. Exclusively sarcasm. So like I didn't have any absurdist humor until I was like 18.
That's fucking so sad. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah.
And now I struggle to watch absurdist humor because it just doesn't make me laugh. It's not funny to me. I like sarcasm, I like dark humor, and I like Futurama. Futurama's good.
Okay.
But once again, I didn't watch Futurama until I was much, much older. So, yeah. But I didn't, going back to the original question, I didn't have a card game. I had a couple of Pokemon cards, but I never played the Pokemon card game. Part of that is because I was homeschooled, so I didn't have anybody to play with. And part of that is because I was a farm boy who grew up in a rural culture where nobody had any of that stuff. Like, you don't collect cards. Like, nobody had baseball cards even. Nobody had football cards. Nobody had anything. Like, I didn't have extra things when I was a child.
Oh,
I didn't have anything extra. It was like, that's why it's like when I said when I was like 9 years old, I was out there hitting my brothers with sticks. That's because that was our toy, was a stick that we picked up off the ground. That's what we had to play with.
No,
so,
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said about the whole cybercafe thing, you would have to beg our parents first to give us money, and then we would get to go. But they knew exactly what we were going to spend that money on. So sometimes they would be like, no. Like, no, you don't get any money. And so, like, fuck, I'm going to go. Yeah. We're going to go play in the dirt. And we play with, like, we call them canicas, but I forget what they're called in English. Marbles. We play, like, little marbles.
Yep.
We play with, like, make-believe. We play catch, hide and seek, all that shit. That was me, man. That was me, too. And
same.
I'm probably not as big as you, but I was also kind of like a farm boy in a sense. Because when we would go visit my grandparents who have a farm, and I would sometimes stay with them, and obviously, no TV, no internet, no nothing. When we went to like the actual hacienda, and like I know how awful pigs smell. Like a lot of people don't know that. They think that they're cute or whatever. But no, like a farm pig that's just there to be produced eventually smells so bad.
Yep. That's why our pig pens are like 150 yards away from the house.
Yeah, like the furthest corner from the house. That's exactly where you put the pig pen.
Yep. Yeah, our goats are a little closer because they don't smell quite as bad, but horses, cows, and sheep and pigs are all like as far away from the farmhouse as you can put them because they smell horrendous. Yeah, it's bad.
You have to. It's terrible. And oh my god, my worst day was when they asked me to go fucking clean the pig pens. Holy
yes,
I couldn't.
The worst.
It's like here's the hose. Go hose down all the fucking shit down the drainage, and it was the absolute worst. Fuck that.
Yep.
That
for sure.
There was only one experience worse than that for me, and that's when my grandma for a Christmas dinner, she was like, "All right, go grab a duck." I was a kid at the time. I was like, "Hey, go grab a duck." I'm like, "Okay." All right, so I go to the farm area, I grab a duck, and I have it in my arms, squirming and whatnot, and biting me every now and then, but whatever. I'm used to playing with chickens and ducks, so they're kind of okay with me being handled by me. And then my grandma is like, "All right, grandma, here's the duck. I kind of want to run away now in my head." And she goes, "All right, here's the hatchet. Go chop."
Yep.
12-year-old me, like, they're over there. There's the chopping block. Get the duck.
Yep. Been there with chickens. Before. Yep.
And
from a young age, I remember that.
Don't understand or might not imagine is that when you chop, they squirm so much.
Yeah.
You have to hold them down.
Yeah.
Or you have to fucking run away. One of the two.
Yeah, for sure.
It was not a pleasant experience. But that's the kind of like farm that that's how you do it. Like when you're out there, you grow your own chicken, your own ducks. You chop them up.
Yep.
You bring them to grandma. Grandma will defeather them and then make them into stew.
Yep.
That's how it is.
Yep.
So no, I've been there. I know, kind of like what you're talking about. When you're talking about, being a farmer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You get it. You get it. Yeah. Anyways, so no card games. I kind of played MTG in high school a little bit, but It was one of those things where it was like, it's kind of one of those things where it's not fun for me, to be honest. And because of that, I kind of stopped playing so much. And so, yeah, I think it would have been more fun if I'd started on those types of games earlier and started learning like mechanics and stuff like that a little earlier. But it was just kind of like, it was a little boring to me. And it was like, I would have rather gone outside and ran around.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So I have a fun story too, about living in Ecuador as a kid.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Ecuador is one of those countries that is closest to China. So when it comes to imports, we get a lot of Chinese imports, and we get a lot of Chinese immigrants too.
Right.
On New Year's, can you guess what's the number one import from China?
The number one import from China?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. Absolutely no kid should get a hand in should get a hold of these things. But can you guess the number one import of China in New Year's? Just try and guess.
Fireworks?
Bingo. Motherfucking bingo. So.
Big ones too.
Big ones too. Oh yeah. We used to call them camaretas. They were straight up little bars of TNT.
Yep.
And because of this, what people would do is, because it at the time, in the 90s, and to a certain extent in the 2000s, and even to this day, people would go and buy fireworks in bulk, like in absolute bulk, from the importers, and then they would sell them in the streets for a profit. And any fucking kid, doesn't matter, teenager or 9-year-old, or they could go up to almost any store in the entire city with $1 bill and come out with enough gunpowder to blow up their hands.
Yep.
It was so fun.
Oh yeah. We did the same thing out here. I mean, like I almost lost a finger to fireworks when I was young. I actually have a scar on one of my knuckles from where it sheared my skin to the bone. Because it almost like it went off, like I tossed it up and it went off right above my pointer finger on my right hand, and it literally like sheared my skin. It was crazy. Super damaging. I cried. I had to like bandage it. It was rough. I think I was like 9 years old, and so it's like we were playing with fireworks too. We played with fireworks powerful enough to blow up a pumpkin, like just turn it into shreds.
Yep. Yeah, those are the same ones that we had access to. And we had access to so many different products and so many different kinds of fucking explosive ordnance. And the sky was the limit. So what we would do is we would fucking go buy specific ones. We would buy, I forget what they called, but they would make a little whistling noise when they flew off and dangerously things at random. We would stomp on them. To break them open. Then we would get the powder out and we would turn them into different types of fireworks. Like that's the level of absurdity that we would go to. Oh yeah,
my friends and I did that too. We also had firework fights.
Yeah,
I have a scar on my foot from where one of my friends shot a firework at me and it went inside my shoe.
Oh no!
So I grabbed the firework and I yanked the firework out of my shoe before it went off. But before it went off, a piece of the wick fell inside my shoe and burnt a hole through my sock and into my foot.
Oh.
Yeah, because the piece of the wick that came off in my shoe is still going. And then I tossed the firework in the lake and it went off in the lake and it was fine. But it was one of those things like we would throw fireworks at each other. We would launch bottle rockets at each other. We would probably one of the dumbest things that we did is we would shove They're called quarter dynamite. They're literally like little sticks of dynamite. We would shove them inside anthills.
Oh yeah, we did
and blow up anthills. And of course, you know what ends up happening if you stand too close is you get covered in red ants that are now very angry.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's happened to a couple of us.
I am lucky that I came out unscathed. I have all my fingers and I don't have any scars to show.
Yeah.
And
I only had the 2 scars, but I have full mobility in all of my fingers and toes, which is impressive. Considering what the dumb shit we did,
what we had access to.
Yeah. Oh
my god, dude.
Oh yeah.
So just to keep going, kind of like with the story, in Ecuador we have this this cultural thing. What we would do is we would make mannequins with paper mache mannequins of politicians, cartoon characters, movie characters. We would build them, and they were supposed to represent the things that happened that year. So at midnight on New Year's Eve, can you guess what we did with all of them?
Blow them up.
Absolutely. Everybody across the entire nation would, at midnight, set up all these mannequins, put them in a pile in the middle of the streets, in the middle of public roads. They would fucking shove gasoline on them and then set them ablaze. And then, because, that's just too sensible and too safe, I guess, the next thing to do was to grab the quarter TNT sticks, we would call camaretas, and shove them into the fire and try to and just have fun like that. When I look back at that in retrospect, I'm thinking, wow, my people are a bunch of fucking psychopaths.
Yep. I like the idea of doing that to paper mache politicians, but I don't think that we would get away with that in the U.S.
No, absolutely not. Not here. It's surprising that we do get away with it at such a national level in that little country. Like, that's basically, awesome. It's like everybody knows. Everybody knows what's going to happen. So if you're in the streets at that moment in time, understand that you're either going to get blown up. You're not going to go anywhere because all the streets are blocked with literal fires. It's like it's a fucking riot that happens on the entire country at midnight New Year. And it's the funnest time.
Gosh.
Like, awesome. Have you ever gone to a fireworks show display? And then just enjoy that. It can get pretty loud, and you can kind of feel it in your chest. The reverberations of the explosions. Imagine that, but everywhere at the same time. Like, there were some nights where my uncles would pull out, like, we would call them metralletas, which translates to submachine guns. What they are is a setup of a line, just entire like lines of the quarter TNTs lined up and mixed up into the same fuse. Yeah. And then they would just shove the whole thing. They wouldn't do like the sensible thing of like lighting it up on one end and letting it go off. No, they would just grab a bag of it and just shove it into the fire. And when that happens, it's like a war zone. It's like I had to hide. As a little kid, I would have to go hide inside the house because not only would it be so extremely loud, but like just the shockwave would actually hit me so hard in the chest that it would be unfun. I would have to go inside. And in retrospective, now that I've grown up and I'm an adult, but I'm here in the US, I think to myself, what the fuck is wrong with our people? Yeah. Well,
I still wonder what the fuck was wrong with me and my close friends. Cause like, I mean, we would do stuff like we would take, do you know what a bottle rocket is?
Go ahead.
Okay. So a bottle rocket. Okay, a bottle rocket is one of the fireworks that has like a little stick on it. You stick it in the bottle, you light the fuse, it shoots up and explodes.
Okay,
right?
Got it.
Yeah, so that's a bottle rocket. So we had high-powered bottle rockets, like the big ones, not like the little tiny yellow ones. Like
no,
the
they're like
honking
3
red
feet
ones.
long, and then the rocket on the top is like fucking a couple inches thick.
Yeah, not quite that big, but they were like 6 inches, 8 inches big. They were big, they were light fire style. Like we almost burned down the prairie a couple of times where I live with these. What we would do, particularly me and one of my close friends, when we were alone, when there was nobody else out at our house, we would take the sticks off of them, which, first of all, not recommended, because the stick kind of acts like it's a balance. Yeah, it acts like the balance, so it will not go just spinning around in whatever direction it feels like. It'll go in a straight line. Okay, so taking the stick off is a bad idea to begin with. But then what we would do is we would take the stick off of like an entire pack of like 40 of them, take a handful of them, and just throw them in a fire. And then
that's fucking
what we would
Even
do,
like little me would think that's retarded.
Yeah, we would do this, and the game that we would play would be whoever
get out with
was
older fingers.
No, it was worse than that. The game that we would play is whoever was closest to the fire at the end of that would the other one would buy dinner. So whoever was furthest away from the fire was the one who paid for dinner. So there was an incentive to be close to the explosions. And so we would do this where we would just throw handfuls of them, and then we do it like 4 or 5 times, and whoever lost the most, dinner was on them. And so it was one of those things. It was just the most preposterous thing. And then we would let the fire die, and then we would go to the all-night McDonald's and buy crappy food. And so that's what we would do.
So here's the thing: the reason we probably never got to that level of degeneracy and lack of responsibility is that we were in the middle of a big ass city. You're probably in the middle of the prayer, just there's nothing to worry about. But like if we set up a firework and it blew up inside somebody's car, everybody would know exactly who it was. So we would get in trouble immediately. So that's why kind of like all the bottle rockets, they have to go up. Sometimes we would be stupid and we would set them sideways and see how far they would go. One time I set one off and it went into my neighbor's window he left open. In his defense, he probably should have known better and closed his fucking window in New Year's.
True. But yeah, I mean, we would stand across like our lawn from each other and just light them with lighters and point them at each other and try to shoot each other with them.
So stupid, dude.
So stupid. So stupid.
God. Okay, I feel a lot better about myself all of a sudden.
yeah. Don't worry. That's a common thing in having conversations with me. Because I mean, we did some dumb shit, which is just that's what it's like when you live in the middle of nowhere and you grow up in the middle of nowhere. It's like, of course we're gonna do dumb stuff. Nobody out here keeps accountable. Like literally, we got the fire department called on us one time.
Okay. Because
we made a fire so big that our neighbors, who are, keep in mind, 2.5 miles away, called 911 thinking our propane tank exploded because we live in the middle of nowhere. So we have like for heating and stuff like that, we have like a 2,000 gallon propane tank in our backyard because that's the only way to have heating out here. And so we have a propane tank, and so they thought our propane tank had exploded. That's how big we made the fire. It was literally, the wood was stacked 14 feet tall, and then we stuck a dead Christmas tree out of the top of it, adding another 6 feet. Yeah, so we had like a 6 foot tall dead Christmas tree, which if you've never burned a dead Christmas tree that's all like dried up.
I have, yes.
If anybody else hasn't, don't. It's a bad idea, but it creates the biggest fire. It's huge. So the flames were probably like 70 feet high. Yeah. We also did other dumb shit. So like one of the things that we did, we would take, have you ever seen the camper, or not camper, the camp stove propane tanks, like the little green Coleman ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like 1 liter propane tanks. We would set them in a fire and shoot the bottom of them with like a 270 with a gun. And then they would fly up into the air and create a massive fireball when they exploded in the air if you shot them in the bottom. And so you shoot them like right at the base. They would fly up in the air and they would create a literal semi-truck sized fireball in the sky. Yeah, it was
ladies and gentlemen, fun. We have a miracle here. This kid has made it into adulthood.
I did. I am 25.
If you were looking for any what's the word? Any proof that there might be a higher being out there, it's that this fucking man is standing here talking to us right now.
Yeah, that me and all 3 of my brothers are alive, and I've had 13 concussions. My brother has broken his collarbone, and my other brother tore his labrum, and that's like the most extensive injuries our family has had.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like people ask me why our parents wouldn't buy us a trampoline. It's that kind of behavior. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why they wouldn't buy us a trampoline.
Because they would probably the stuff that we try to shoot.
Yeah. Because the thing is like, the problem is that imagine this, all of the stuff we did, and then if we had a trampoline, we would have tried to incorporate the trampoline into everything. That's what I mean. Yeah, no, one of us would have died, for sure. But I'm surprised that none of us did. And we're all 3 of us are alive, and yeah, it's quite a miracle that we are, because of all of the crazy, insane stuff that I've done. And I mean, we have been pretty extremely lucky, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But also, like, I mean, we're also skilled. Like, we know what we're doing.
You know how to survive fireworks.
Yeah, we know how to survive fireworks. We've been there, and we know what to do when push comes to shove. And we're also, I mean, like, surprisingly, people might be surprised, we're rather safe with guns. Like, when we were shooting things with guns. Like,
we were shooting propane tanks with guns. Please tell me how safe you are.
When we were shooting propane tanks with guns. We at least were making sure that nobody was downrange. That there was nothing like we weren't trying to kill ourselves. So we were trying to maintain safety at least a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, like, we also were prepared with like things to put fire out too. So like if things went sideways and we had to go put a fire out in the prairie, like we were prepared. So
I am sure your fire extinguisher would have totally worked against a 70-foot tall fire.
No, probably not that one. If that one had gone awry, we probably would have died. But, you know, I mean, at least you would have gone out in an epic way.
No, you know how in the U.S. we have... Listen, you know how in the U.S... Shut up, get him back here. Oh, no. You know how in the U.S. we have the Florida man story memes? That would have been you. You would have been the Alaska man.
Yeah, exactly.
Go up in the place of glory. No, that's fucking retarded. Don't defend yourself with that.
No, it was not smart. I condone none of the actions that I committed when I was younger. Absolutely 0 of them. I recommend nobody do them because you'll probably die, and you probably won't have the same amount of miracles that we had of not dying. And yeah, I have another story.
Let's hold on before you move to the next story. Yeah. Oh my god, my bunny's so cute. Anyways, I just want to like go over some of the fail points of shooting a propane tank on the bottom. Okay. Even if it was downrange. All right. Number 1, obviously gun safety, you know. That's one. You know, at some point, what if somebody wasn't performing proper gun safety? Number 2, what if the bullet ricochets off the metal and lands on someone, even if it's downrange? That can happen sometimes. 3, you shoot a fucking propane tank and it explodes and the shrapnel ends up injuring either of you. Five, even if everything goes according to plan and the propane tank goes up in the air and explodes, the propane tank itself could land on someone or on someone's car.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it does explode in the air, there's the shrapnel in the air that could fucking land on you again. Like, I know that propane tanks are designed in a way that shrapnel is not really a thing, but again, we're talking about a fucking pressurized explosion done with a fucking gun.
Yep.
And then fix all the fucking fire hazards. And
yeah.
Listen.
Now, as far as gun safety is concerned, we were good on that point. We knew where we were shooting. We knew what we were shooting at. We knew there was nothing behind it because we live in the middle of nowhere. In addition to that, we were the only people out there, and we knew that. So, like, we were safe there. The ricochet, the gun that we were using armor penetration rounds on a 270. And so there's absolutely no way that it would ricochet off of something like a propane. I mean, we're talking about this is the type of round that would punch through an inch of steel. So there's no way it was hitting and ricocheting back at us. But all of the rest of your complaints of shrapnel, of explosions, of death in general, you're absolutely correct. Yep. Nope. That's all true. Yep.
Jesus fuck.
Don't recommend it.
Anyways, what were you going to say?
What were you going to say? This is another fire story.
Oh, lovely. All right, proceed.
Yep.
Something like a good campfire story.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like a good campfire story. Although this is not really a campfire story. This is more of a hellfire story.
No spoilers. Let's move on.
So my best friend, who is now in the military, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea of who he is now and who he was back then, because he then grew up to be somebody in the military. We were probably 17 and 18 at the time. He's slightly younger than me. And so we were hunters. We would hunt for fun. We would go hunt coyotes and rabbits and all sorts of stuff. I know, I'm sorry. For food mostly, because we wanted food and we had to get it ourselves. So we would hunt for meat, as well as for fun. But one of the things that we would do is we would go hiking early in the morning.
All right.
And so, one of the various very dangerous animals that live in the area that I live in are rattlesnakes. We used to have a ton of them at this time, like a crazy number of them. We would find 10, 15, 20 rattlesnakes on our property a year. And so we were good knowing how to kill them and stuff like that. And we always had our eyes out for them and our ears out because they rattle and all sorts of stuff like that. So we were smart when it came to rattlesnakes, for the most part. And so we're out hiking early in the morning. This is probably 4 or 5 in the morning. It's an early spring day, and out here, early spring is cold. It's not all nice and fun. It's like, it's probably below zero. We're all bundled up. You can see your breath in the air type thing. We're hiking with headlamps because it's pitch black out. And we're walking through an area of land that we'd never been in before. And we hear in the distance something that neither of us had ever heard before, and we were curious about it because we couldn't figure out what it was.
Okay.
And so we started walking towards it. And as we got closer and closer, we found out that it's this pit in the ground. It's like a stone quarry rock type pit. Not really a quarry, just like a natural one, right? But like just
this is like the start of like a fucking murder horror movie, Hollywood movie. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. And the sound that we heard as we got closer just got crazier and crazier. Like, it was ridiculous. It was loud. It was scary. And as we got closer, we started figuring out what it was.
Okay.
It was the hissing of rattlesnakes.
Oh, shit.
And I'm talking not one, not two, not a couple dozen. The reason why we had such a hard time distinguishing it is this was the hissing of a breeding nest of rattlesnakes in the spring.
Oh.
So this is, the rattlesnakes are kind of like salmon. They wander around, they spread out throughout the year to have different hunting grounds so they don't destroy a certain area and can make it completely devoid of prey. But when it comes to breeding time, they all come back and congregate at a breeding den to breed.
Oh, Jake.
And so this is a fucking massive pit. And it was probably 50 feet by 50 feet. And there was probably 3 to 5 rattlesnakes per square foot.
Jesus.
It was just a writhing, tangled mess of hissing and horror. Now, out where I live, rattlesnakes are considered a pest. They're prolific because of the induction of small pets, cats, dogs, small dogs out into the area, because of the induction of large amounts of chickens and other small things that rattlesnakes can prey on. They have actually become quite a big problem out here because there's an overabundance of prey and an underabundance of predators, and rattlesnakes are one of the only predators that like you can't keep out. Like you can't put everything in a glass pen, right? So rattlesnakes are going to be able to get into it. And because of that, rattlesnakes have become very prolific here. And so there's actually no season. There's no hunting season. Rattlesnakes are just, there's not even a tag. You don't even need a tag to kill them here. If you see them, you kill them. Nobody cares. Government doesn't care. They're a pest. They're awful. They kill all sorts of animals. They're really bad to have around as a general rule. Obviously, they play an important role in the ecological perspective. But like any overwhelming abundance of any predator is always going to be bad for a specific ecology because it can actually destroy the ecology by leaving no more prey, which was kind of what was happening. Rabbits were becoming rare. Mice and rats were becoming rare. Yeah.
Tell me what happened after you guys found this thing.
So we found this and we decide to run the fuck away because we have that much sanity in us, right?
Sensible decision, yes. I would have then we call the
DOW, the Division of Wildlife, the United States federal division that handles wild animals, wildlife, and wilderness areas. Right?
So this is where the B-12 bombers come in.
Yeah. And we ask them, well, what do we do about this? Because it's close enough to our land that this many rattlesnakes is actually concerning to us having a farm.
Mm-hmm.
A federal officer of the DOW, and this was, by the way, we also had checked, we'd given like GPS coordinates and stuff like that. We'd figured out exactly what it was. We went out there with the GPS, like actually marked down the coordinates. We were smart about it, right? We knew what we were doing. We gave them all of this information. It was on public land, so it was federal land.
Okay.
And we asked, what are they going to do about it? And they said nothing. And we were like, what? And they were like, yeah, it's like we don't have the resources to deal with this. So we were like, okay, what do we do? And a federal agent said, well, get a lot of accelerant.
Oh my God.
So me and my best friend at the age of 17 and 18 drive to a gas station and fill up 30 gallons of gasoline, carry 30 gallons of gasoline out there in the pitch black night on a cold day. We wait because we had talked about this and done research. So we waited until about 5 a.m.
Okay.
And now at 5 a.m, like when we first got there, we could hear it, right? It's like ingrained, and we're both like sitting there having minor panic attacks, because if you grew up in the middle of nowhere, the sound of snakes is something that is ingrained into your soul as fucking horrifying.
Okay.
At this time, both Zach and I had been around, had watched people get bitten by rattlesnakes, had been involved in like first aid responses on rattlesnakes, calling emergency services, getting them out there. It's like we'd seen people go through being bit by a rattlesnake, Flight for Life coming out literally out here. You get bit by a rattlesnake, they send a fucking helicopter to you because you're too far away. By the time an ambulance gets to you, you're dead. So they send a helicopter to you, they put you on the helicopter, take you back to it's nuts, right? So we'd both seen that. So we knew what we were doing in the area of we don't want to get bit. So around 5:30 in the morning, the sun's just coming up, right?
All right.
The rattlesnakes are getting ready to sunbathe. That means they're all quiet, they're all still, they're all stopped. That's when he and I, we take out the shovels, and around the whole pit, about 10 feet away from it where there are no rattlesnakes, we dig a 2-foot wide dirt trench. Okay?
Okay.
Then we take the cans of gasoline and we pour around the entire edge of the pit. Just right in it. Mm-hmm. All 30 gallons. And then we take a match and toss it in there. And then we fucking run. Once again, there's no permits or anything like that, but we did this at the recommendation of a federal agent.
Federal agent.
Yeah. All of this was recommended to us. Okay?
Okay.
I looked back once. And it was so horrifying to just see and hear. I don't think I've ever run that fast in my life. I don't think I will ever run that fast again. It was like the gates of hell opened. And whatever came out of that pit, they were no longer rattlesnakes. They were fucking hell demons to infest this earth and destroy. It was the worst sound I have ever seen. So he and I run, and we run probably a quarter of a mile or more, just full on sprint. Just no stopping, no braking, just go. Get as far away from this as possible. We could see the fire from where we were. We were watching it to make sure it didn't spread. It didn't spread. It stayed in that area. It stopped. Nothing crazy happened. But we were like, holy shit, that was fucking awful.
What the fuck?
And then we went home and we were like, good day's work. We went to bed, we took a nap, we woke up, we played some Lego Star Wars on a GameCube. And then he left and went home. And I obviously stayed at my house. And postscript to this story, we don't have so much as a rattlesnake problem out here anymore. For 15 square miles, rattlesnake sightings have dropped 75%.
Oh my god, dude. What?
Recommended by a federal agent. Zach and I
clearly
went back there. Yeah, Zach and I went back there.
Okay.
2 years later, when he visited, he'd gone into the military when he was 18. He came back when he was 19. So 2 years later, we went back out there in the pitch black night. Nothing. Not a single rattlesnake, and nothing grows there. It is a dead zone. And we were like, that's weird. Because there were some shrubs and bushes and grass growing in there right before. Nothing. It is dead land completely. And we were like, interesting. We think, and obviously I'm no scientist. I don't know. I'm just a farm boy. 2 years is plenty of time for the ground to bounce back. We think the ground, literally, there is so much venom in the bodies of those snakes with how many died in there that it made the ground uncroppable. I have no idea about that. That might be true. That might not be true. I don't know if that's a thing. But we were like, that's the only explanation that makes sense to us.
Listen, this is what you did. You fucking participated in a Hollywood experiment to see what the next fucking horror movie should be for Halloween. And what you did was fucking summon Satan in your backyard.
Yep.
And now the fucking spirits of thousands of rattlesnakes haunt the cursed land, preventing anything from growing in there. That's what you did, man. You have no... Oh my God.
7 years ago, so if the apocalypse happens, I apologize. It's probably my fault. Maybe COVID is what we brought out, like, in that moment.
You know how in the Last of Us, it's not like the zombies come from like a fucking mushroom. in the real world, it's the fucking evil spirits of the rattlesnakes you guys fucking sacrifice to Satan.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn humanity into fucking zombies. I want to take a moment to showcase the rabbit's butt and her tail.
It's adorable. Rabbits are so cute.
The best. She's so chill.
She is. She's a good rabbit.
She is. She gets tons of attention, especially since I stopped working.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Pets don't want people to have jobs.
No, they really don't.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, so
become your favorite. Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's one of my craziest stories.
How you fucking sacrificed 1,000 innocent animals to our Lord and Savior Satan, yes.
I wouldn't call them innocent. But yeah. Yeah.
Point stats.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude. Yeah, great.
Live on our farm, man.
I don't know how we can possibly top that story off at all.
I have other stories.
No.
This does
We're
sound
gonna
like a good stopping
We're gonna
point.
save them because if you can't eat top off what you just told me, I don't think I'll be able to sleep at peace tonight. That's one, and two.
Yeah.
Let's just not.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
one horror story is enough for today.
One horror story per stream. All right, let's keep it like that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
There we go.
Fun.
Good shit. Good shit.
So thank you so much for coming to my stream here.
Absolutely.
You're gonna upload it, right? You're gonna upload
I don't think I haven't created anything yet because I haven't come up with a name yet, but we should definitely chat about that at some point, and
you can just
you'll be able to find us there. Yeah.
All right, we'll figure it out. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
You, Tilly. I'm just gonna close the stream because I need dinner.
Okay.
After laughing.
Okay.
For so long.
There we go.
Where can we find you, Tully?
So you can find me on Twitch. I think it's twitch.tv/Cthulhu Tilly. Same thing, no spaces. You can find me on TikTok, Cthulhu Tilly, at Cthulhu Tilly there as well. And I believe Twitter is also at Cthulhu Tilly.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it right now. But hopefully we'll have more coming soon of where to find this podcast / where to find me.
We need to come up with a name for this fucking thing too.
We do. I don't know one yet, but I've been contemplating and I will continue contemplating. But yeah. Excellent. And obviously, we can find you at twitch.tv/Hallik25. Thank you for joining us for the first episode of Chatting in the Void. More to come in the future.